Can you all hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Chloe is 3 to 5 minutes away, but we're going to go ahead and get started, and Angela is going to run the meeting.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Beaufort County Board of Education Academics Committee meeting. Wednesday, June 28th, 2023 at 5 p.m. The media has been properly notified. This meeting will be live streamed on the school board's YouTube channel. Requests for public comments, participation will be accepted between 4 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. by sending an email with your name, phone number, and topic to robin.k12.sc.us. You will receive a phone call during public comments where you will be able to speak and address the committee for a maximum of 3 minutes on issues within the committee's domain. The forum will be limited to 15 minutes. At this time, I would like please give me a motion. Pledge allegiance first. Oh, yeah. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right.
Make a motion to approve agenda?
I will second that. Thank you. Any comments? No? All those in favor, please raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None? It's been approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Knapp. All right. Any public comments, Robin?
No, sir. Ma'am.
All right, no public comments. All right, the local board approved courses. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Stratos and her team, and she's going to talk about the Beaufort Middle School 6th and 7th grade AVID courses. All right, thank you, Dr. Stratos.
Thank you, Mrs. Middleton and board members. This evening, we're bringing forward a request by Beaufort Middle School Principal Dee Dee Thompson, who would be here with us this evening. However, she is in attendance at a training with her team for AVID. We will go into a little more detail shortly with regard to the acronym of what AVID stands for, but I do want to give a taste of the opportunity of what this course is and what a local board approved course reflects. Since we do not have a specific course that is tied for an elective that would support the elective component of AVID that builds our students' capacity for learning, study skills, mentorships, and a lot of these details will come forward in the presentation. We are asking for an LBA, that is a local board approved course. School board has the right by which to approve these courses. They can be used as electives. We have been monitoring the amount of LBAs for us as a system closely for the past 3 years. And in this particular case, we do recommend the school going forward because it will support a new program. There will be a choice program once we get through course and construction. The internal work, a choice application will be coming to this committee by November to support this to be a choice program for the next coming school year. So with that, I want to ask Ms. McKenzie, who was with us last night as well, to go forward. We have a presentation and information to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stratos and board members. So administrative regulation IS 49 gives us 3 avenues for putting forth a locally board approved courses. They can be awarded under 4 subject area courses as graduation units of credit. Those have to be aligned with our state academic standards, and they have to be approved not only by our local board, but those have to go forward to the state superintendent of education. Locally board elective classes, however, are approved by our local board, and those award units of credit to students, but there is one caveat there. We cannot allow more than 2 units to be awarded for religious instruction. The other one is locally designed career and technology courses, and those are funded through the federal CTE, Career Technology Education monies, and those have to be approved as well by the State Department. So electives are the ones that our local board can approve and we can begin to implement immediately. We do consistently go through that list, as Dr. Stratus said, and this one is really being put forward to meet the specific needs of the students at Beaufort Middle School. They've asked for this course as a way to support their 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students in a cohort model. What this will do for them is give them those skills as they move into advanced courses, high school credit level courses, and college level coursework. So it's given them that way to kind of fill in the skills and the gaps that they might be missing. There are some eligibility requirements that we have in place for this. The student would have to have a 2.0 GPA. They must be in good standing on their attendance. They must be in good standing on their discipline. And they really have to have a desire to commit to this program and to prepare themselves for college and a career. Avid is really designed program to meet the needs of those first generation college students and specifically some of our minority population who haven't had that opportunity prior, or some of our single parent families that haven't had that opportunity. This is a way to make that happen for them. There are so many best practices with AVID, and AVID stands for Advanced via Individual and Determination. So I just love that in itself. That tells you right off the bat that our students are going to have that determination to be successful. And what we want to do is put those blocks in place to show them support on that pathway. It is a research-based instructional strategies that will be used. There's a lot of writing, a lot of inquiry. Students will be working in groups. They'll be working with peer tutors. They can become peer tutors. We're really excited about that piece. Very small little mini lectures that our teachers will have in place, and that's where they are right now, learning those different things from the AVID program. It's a very student-centered approach to developing those pathways to higher learning. There will be a lot of writing, and we are fortunate under our ELA director, Lisa Murray, we put some very strong programs in place to support that. So we're really excited. We don't have to add that, so we already have it. We will also be working on things like those skills that help us all be successful, keeping a timeline, keeping an agenda.
Skills?
Yeah,
Yes,
study
ma'am.
skills.
Yes. If I may build on
Please.
Karen. So, for example, Cornell note taking.
Yes.
Socratic seminar. These are instrumental tools that become part of being what we would say being avidized. So you will see a student from just highlighting the world, and that's such a familiar as an educator, to realize, recognize what are the key parts. That is a big skill. The educator builds that skill set to our students, but also within Cornell note taking, taking down the content, but then doing those questions of inquiry. And I have to say, as you watch students who have been avidized, and I mean that, I mean, it's the kids say that themselves.
It's
the
a
students.
positive.
It is a positive. They become the leaders of Socratic seminar. So as I model, I do gradual release as we build time and relationship and efficacy of practice. And now you as the students are leading the class. They are the leaders.
And the great thing about that, if I can just piggyback on that, Dr. Stratus, is not only are they getting those skills through AVID, but again, they're getting those executive function skills, how to manage their time effectively, how to keep a good calendar and make sure that they're keeping up with things in a timely manner. They're checking things off. They're making sure things are getting turned in. And one piece that I really love about AVID is there's a reflection piece to that. So that's sometimes a piece that misses from some students' education, where they have time to reflect and say, how did I do in this? What could I have done differently? What pathway do I really want to take? What's the best way for me to get to that pathway? If I get on that pathway, how do I move forward along it? So I think those are really important skills actually for all of us, not just for our AVID students.
See. And we gave the chapters. I know, I guess. Must be LBA course itself, part of your packet up. I pulled it out of my own personal file, just so we can receive. Well, yeah, the presentation,
I think, I know what you're talking about. I think you
Yes.
sent that and Molly didn't copy that in.
Yeah.
I know
yes, we had sent after the physical application.
it came separately.
And what we do when these applications come to us is we don't just say, oh, this is great, go forward.
Oh, no.
It's a very strategic process and we follow IS 21E on that. And we've developed a little checklist, everything that not only our policy mandates that we have in place, but what does the state mandate that we have in place in order to put these courses in front of our students? So, for example, we asked, did they submit a complete application? Is there a subject in the content? Does it give a beginning date and an ending date that the students are going to be in these courses? Are we putting them in forever? Is there a projection of enrollment? How many students are we going to be looking at? And right now, the projection of enrollment based on the survey that Beaufort Middle School conducted, which is a requirement as well, was 75. So we're looking at 75 students having this opportunity to open a pathway to advanced learning through developing these skills.
So and to share the bill with that, so the teacher of record for these courses will have, beyond being stellar, will have a period for the first year available where they can go build capacity of other students to recruit in, going out to the feeder schools. Also being able to be that person who's communicating with other academic teachers. So my recommendation has been to the school leadership is to, as much as possible, consider that to be something that continues for the educator. So that they could be what we want to call a case manager for the load of students, so they could communicate with you, the math teacher, the social studies teacher. And also note that content area teachers will also have opportunity for training within the same instructional strategies. So what will happen is, as you have PLCs and we build capacity, where is this happening for this group of students? Because they will now be a cohort at your school. So we will be scheduling to ensure that these are the teachers who had training. There's a commitment in that component as well when scheduling and doing that organizational design.
And I will say that they're all together in this training right now, and I did reach out and say, how's it going down there? And they're having a wonderful time and working diligently towards making sure that this is a solid foundation for these students.
Can I ask a quick question? What's the class size? Since there's 75 students.
That's 25.
Yeah, about 25 in each class. Yes, ma'am. And the teacher that's going to be teaching it is Scott Patka, and he has 30 years of education experience. He is social studies certified, but he's also gifted and talented at Doris, which is something we really are excited about because that's where we want these kids to move. And he's also Read to Succeed. So he has those strong literacy skills as well, which going back to what Dr. Stratus was talking about with Cornell note taking and strategy seminar, those kind of skills will be really valuable.
How many minutes in this class? And how often do they go every day?
She does not have an alternating schedule. I believe she is designed for a full year course.
Okay.
I want to say their courses are 50 minutes because if they shift to an alternating A/B schedule, let's say a block schedule, the syllabus is designed to still meet those requirements. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And this is being copied.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Another great thing about this course is it really, the training is one thing, but as far as additional like software requirements and all of those things, it's not something that they have to add to. Once they sign up to do this training, they get the materials they need then to come back and work with the students. So it's a very comprehensive type program because they want these kids to move along this pathway.
They receive content guides that are specific to, let's just say, social studies, math, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, separate from the content guide that the avid teacher has. Almost for those of you remember the days when we had learning strategies courses, where you have the magic of the best strategies. That teacher is basically teaching you that.
And I will say, just to follow that up, Beaufort Middle School kind of went above and beyond on this. Because not only did they tie in those Avid skills standards that Avid puts in place that are strong on their own, they also tied it into literacy skills that the state requires here in South Carolina. So they're tied to those standards as well as to the Avid. That's a real plus for those students because they're going to still remain to get their ELA instruction that's standard based. And they're going to get this, which is going to feed into that ELA standards as well. So it's a double jolt of it, which is wonderful to have for our students.
And if I could share to you and Karen, we put this review under high scrutiny. I'll just leave it there. It had to meet our standard to be able to define exactly how aligned will we be for fidelity in practice. Right, so this is the curriculum. This is what your syllabus is designed for, and it was very well received by the school for us to say, no, this is what we're saying we're going to be teaching, and we're going to be lying. You can do an ancillary. These are primary content guides.
Is this our only middle school that we have other program?
At this time,
I have it certified. I dusted off,
So
so
you
back
know.
in the day when.
Yes,
So you know what kind of
Yes,
programs to be
yes,
for.
and I've gone to trainings, in the past. I'm sitting here listening and excited about what is to come, for our students and saying that stop with that. I hired him many years ago.
Fantastic.
So right now, Beaufort Middle
will
is
be
the only
only school at this time.
at this time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So one of the other things to take into consideration is that we would like to see later to have to be a feeder into Beaufort High.
Mhm.
So that the Gear Up grant, which is a federal grant that gets pushed down to the state, I think some of you are familiar with Gear Up years ago for
Yes.
for Beaufort County. That may be a grant that we are keeping an eye on. The executive director for the feeder grant of these schools is Dr. Collins. Is
Also
very
in
much
training.
it's also in training, yet you're going, Chad, but he's very supportive of feeder programs for us. So the Gear Up doesn't come to fruition, we have to look at other sources that we could be creating. We'd like to.
And I will say, good news travels fast. So right now it's one, but good news travels fast.
This is an excellent program. Truly. Thank you.
Mr. Nay or Mr. Dallas, do you all have any questions thus far?
I'll defer to Mr. Nay going first since he's a committee member, and then, yes, ma'am, I do have some after he shares his.
Okay.
Thank you. I have several questions, actually. You said that there was one teacher going to be teaching this, so breaking up the 75 students over 3 classes of 25, what's the legacy of this? Because it sounds like right now it might be personality driven. So what's the legacy? Is there somebody else after you? He's got 30 years of teaching. I mean, is this teacher going to be retiring soon?
So the investment into the instructor, the lead instructor, is not based on his retirement. My understanding, he's not looking to do that soon. We do have a team going out there, so as the growth of this or the sustainability of this program, that has already been a conversation with school leadership who will be coming in. There's already a person on the team who will in, but right now, he will be our primary teacher, sir. That has been a conversation.
Okay, thank you. So I'm still confused about the point of this class. We're gonna approve it as an elective. But is this like a catch-up class for students that have holes in their academic? So this is an advanced placement, gifted and talented kind of class.
No, and I do apologize
Yeah.
because you don't have the documents in front of you, Mr. Nate, but you have them at this time. Okay. So it is not a GT course, gifted and talented. First of all, in order to maintain accreditation of Avid, you have to be very specific to the curriculum that is provided. As an elective, the course is really designed to help Mary become a better learner, help Mary become much more organized at my work, have Mary develop understanding for inquiry-based learning, There will be project-based learning activities within the curriculum. There are. And to the point of not only doing the work, but now being a reflective learner, identifying if I met the standard, being able to articulate if I met the standard. So it is a very structured course to help Mary become a better learner that is tied to the soft skills as well that benefit within our other content areas. Other content educators will be trained in the same strategies as well.
Okay, I mean, well, right now it kind of sounds like a beefed up, structured kind of study hall. So I mean, are they going to be working on material from other classes in this program, or is this specifically for hey, okay, this is how you take notes, this is how you study, this is how you make an outline, this is, please, I'm sure I'm missing something.
Mr. Victor, this is Chloe. I guarantee you this is not a beefed up study hall. I can guarantee you that it benefits the students. It's a very well-run professional class. The students get to fine-tune their skills to prepare them for college, to prepare them for high school. Some students have a hard time with organization and things of that manner, but they want to go to school or they want to do something else. So we have to give them that foundation, and this is a perfect program to do this with. I was certified in it, went to a lot of their trainings. A very good program. And note of Scott, age and retirement, we cannot discriminate about whether or not he's going to retire or his age, but I will tell you, he's a young 30 because I hired him many years ago, and he was very young. But I know he's up for the challenge to teach this class. If you look at his credentials, when they spoke about what he has been doing, his professional credentials, we've got a great instructional leadership here at Beaufort Middle. So no, it's not a trumped up study hall, and it's basically every kid that goes in and comes out benefits from this book, and a lot of training. There's a lot of, as I'm looking, things have improved over the years. They're keeping up with the times. And that's what we want for our middle school kids. We're getting them prepared.
And if I
So
can
how many of our other schools have this program right now?
This would be our inaugural school at this time. And if you look at the packet that it says BCSE application request, new LBA course, an example of some of the standards, it's like, if you can go to page 9 of that application, I'm just going to refer to the 7th grade. If you look at the first column on the table, it was unit title, student agency, student empowerment, and you'll see an alignment with that to AVID standards. And then the communication, it goes communication, writing, I want to say before, communication, writing, inquiry. And then that's an example, we'll give you an example of the standards tied to the course. If it was utilized as an extended study hall, we are subject to an annual evaluation as been having membership to the organization. And that is what happens. We will not be able to continue our relationship with the organization. They are very strict that it is not to be an extension of any such thing as a study hall. They are very strict on doing a crosswalk full evaluation. We see rating no different than what we would go through. We go through what I did.
Okay, well, I just got the documents, and it probably would have answered a lot of my questions. So glad I got it now. My last question before I'll let Mr. Dallas ask his question is, what does this do to the saturation of other electives? Because now we're offering this as an elective. And one of the problems I have right now is because the junior high principals have autonomy over their electives and how they're handled. Understanding, of course, through what teachers have told me about the fine arts and how For example, River Ridge, the junior high band only meets twice a week because the principal has decided that it's an elective and he can decide where it goes and then within curriculum. So as far as other electives, how does this saturate all the choices of electives that kids can take now?
So because we have a 7-period day, so once you look at the core academics, students do have a significant amount of choice by which to the courses they could have. And I hate to use the language elective, because reality is, Avid just says, I need dance, orchestra class, chorus class, drama, math, English. These are content courses, and I have to correct my own vernacular when I refer to this as an elective. They're not really elective courses. I think that's a mind shift, but anytime you add anything to the master schedule, by nature, it will dilute this class size of other courses. And we're talking about approximately 25 to 50 students per grade level. So students still, though, have choice for other areas of interest to get onto their personal schedule.
Oh, yeah, I understand the vernacular, but technically it has to be offered as an elective because it's local based education, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so for all intents and purposes, it is an elective. Technically, it's how we have to treat it when it comes to scheduling. Okay, I appreciate. I'll yield to Mr. Dallas.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Nay. I think this is a phenomenal offering. And
Mr.
I'll tell
Dallas,
you.
you froze.
Oh,
Okay.
can you hear me now?
Okay, we said, yes, we can, thank you.
Okay, so I think this is a phenomenal offering. It is very much needed. And here is my experience. A lot of times kids coming out, graduating, they get to college and they do not have the basic study skills, the basic methodical problem solving, Socratic method of problem solving skills, and they are robbed of confidence. And so actually getting them to actually exercise, having those challenges, even things such as administrative proficiency. How do they track their time? How do they prioritize which tasks have the most impact on their grade outcomes? So what I'm hearing in this presentation is this will actually very much help them become better learners, better students as they proceed into grades 8 through 12, because I think this is 6 and 7. So my question is to follow up on Mr. Nay when he asked, where is this being deployed? I'm wondering, would there be benefit if there is funding for a similar offering somewhere along the 278 corridor? Hilton Head collection of schools, and I'm not parochial in supporting the district. I want to support all the areas. I'm just looking at Hilton Head has a high percentage of students who are on free or reduced lunches, which is a proxy for a socioeconomic status and income. And I think if we had a model class like this at one of the schools, doesn't have to be Hilton Head, could be Bluffton, wherever, I think that would just be phenomenal because, as you say, good performance spreads. And that's what I see this doing. So my real question is, yes, total support for this. Second, the question is if there's an opportunity to actually deploy it 278 corridor so we get that buzz here, which will help us in many other offerings that you're already doing. Last point, I continue to be amazed at the things that the district does that way too few of our parents know about, and virtually none of the residents who are non-parents or voters know about. And I think there's a heck of a story to tell. And so hopefully there can be some conversation or thought about how do we get that message out there. So that's it. I'm in support.
Madam Chair, so Mr. Dallas, and as well as Mr. Nay, you bring forward a few things on scheduling. This whole process for this course is not something that just happened recently. This has been an act of planning for almost a year with the school site, where we actually worked with the lead administrator of the school regarding the master schedule and how we could look at how to pull an FTE, that teacher unit, to be the lead person for Avid. So we were able to get through that through budget. So I'm hearing the intent and interest. We could take the time to inquire with other principals and do the same process. There was actually a process of looking at your class sizes, looking at the influx of students, looking at your, again, class sizes as the year went on, and where can we possibly combine in order and not go into large classes, be within state guidelines, right? And in order to get a teacher unit. So that's the first thing, is that I working with a principal who has that vision to be aligned and their commitment to work with their master schedule. So I will reach out to others of interest and with the work with Karen, because I have an idea who you to reach out.
Already running out.
So I have a question. So the Beaufort Middle School approached you all with this idea, or you? Okay.
Yeah, actually, it was a meeting with Mrs. Thompson on how to look at being a little more creative in the master schedule to meet the needs of the school, including the arts, gifted and talented, but then building our accelerated programs that are better feeder pattern to the high school for students to be ready. Because when I had a meeting with her, I was showing her the feeder pattern of the students where they were performing at her school and then where they were performing at the high school. And we identified the gaps. I said, this is your challenge as a new person coming on board. What are we gonna do about it? We brainstormed and we landed. What have it?
All right, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna move on to administrative regulations. Okay, I apologize.
This meeting is now turned over to Madam Chair Chloe Louis.
Okay, so, we've heard about the Avid local board of course at Beaufort Middle School. 6th and 7th grade Avid courses. Do I have a motion to approve this?
To bring
To bring
Madam
this to the
Chair.
board.
Madam Chair, I move that we present this to the full board. In our, well, I just move we present this to the full board. The Avid. That's what,
We would require full board
because we,
representation on this.
yes, because we need
Yes, ma'am.
full board approval. To go forward with this elected.
Thank you.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
I have motion to present the local board approved course
And full.
to the full board.
You wanna put Avid?
Yes,
Approve.
motion to present the local board course Avid,
Yes, ma'am.
Avid to the full board.
Any other
That would be
discussion?
July 11th.
Any
yes,
discussion?
I would like to say something. Can we do an executive summary? Instead of reading the entire PowerPoint, obviously include the PowerPoint and board docs, but can we just give an executive summary so that we're not giving the entire presentation out all over again?
Absolutely, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Oh. Victor, I'm sorry, yes, so it's been approved, voted and approved, to take this before the full board.
Thank you.
Next.
So as we continue, we have 2 additional administrative regulations with the work with our legal department as well on review. I know you're familiar with the responsibility of administrative regs. So with that, Ms. McKinsey.
Thank you. We are systematically going through our administrative regulations to make sure that they are all updated. We're putting a really systematic focus on making sure that the policies, laws, and regulations align. That's a benefit not only to our district, but to all of the stakeholders that we serve. So with that in mind, we have 2 that we're bringing forward today with updates that we have completed. The first one is IS Regulation 31, and that is advanced college placement courses. And so, in the interest of your time, I just am going to go through the revisions that we did only. In section 2, we added Cambridge Advanced International Certificate of Education. That is a program that we currently have at 2 of our high schools. So is a very good program for those advanced students, and we wanted to make sure that we had that included in this regulation. In section 3, again, we added Cambridge there as well. And there's a caveat there that determines that exam score from any ACE exam, any Cambridge exam, cannot be added outside of that final grading period that we set as a district. College Board also recommends that students take courses prior to taking an advanced placement exam, but that is not required. So they can still take that exam. So we have a student who is doing really well in a course and feels like, hey, I can take that AP exam. We didn't want to prevent that opportunity for them to do so. We also wanted to make sure that we had dual credit weighting offered for our project Lead the Way, which is an exciting program, as you know, and is expanding in this district. And that again provides some advanced placement exam opportunities for our students. We also looked at the eligibility for AP exams. In section 6, we added dual enrollment terminology, and that really replaces early college credit option. So it's just a term there that has changed. We also added the addition of the statement that all students enrolled in AP, in Cambridge, and in IB should be required to take the College Board administered examinations. In section 8, we added Cambridge again, and we also added professional growth for our teachers in those AP courses. We have some teachers right now who are at advanced placement course training, and that training is just a great way for them to really kick that course up to the next level and to provide our students what they need moving forward to college. Revisions continue on 31 for you guys. And 9, schools are going to be responsible for late fees if they are not ordered, if the materials are not ordered by the deadline. That deadline is set by the organization. We pay the initial fee, but if it's not paid, that falls back on the individual school. Addition of Cambridge and IB also being held required for that late fee. In section 10, we added Cambridge. In section 11,
That's it.
10.
okay,
I'll pause for a second.
yes,
Mr. Dallas, you have a question?
got 2 of those.
You're muted, sir.
No, ma'am, I had no questions. I just had my hand in there.
Okay.
No questions. I mean, it's you didn't add anything that wasn't on the pre-read. So awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. The next administrative regulation that we looked at was IS 43, was our grading and assessments. Again, we made a few changes here. Section 3, we added state end of course exam, EOC. Of course, that is a state requirement, so we added that. We also added an adaptation to the multilingual learner grading, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But basically what that says is we're not failing those students based on language. We also added in EOCs end of course to replace end of course testing. We changed that terminology to end of course exams, and that is in alignment with the state terminology. Yes, ma'am.
No, that was my question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The state changed theirs, and they did it like 2 or 3 years ago. And we're going to catch up with them now. We removed the extended period examination statement, again requiring that to be done in a timely manner. That just allows our students, they take the course, they take the exam, rather than take the course, then take the exam. It just, we want our students to do the best that they can. We also made revisions to credit recovery with our EOCs. We updated that language just to match the state by changing it to exam. Advanced International Certificate, again, that's Cambridge. We added them in there. Honors course assessment, alignment to the South Carolina Honors Framework. Now, South Carolina has now put into place a honors framework that we are being held accountable to for all of our honors classes. So what they're saying is do the ones as they come in now and go back and do all the others. So we're making sure that we got it in here for any moving forward, and we are busily doing the work on any that we have previous to this requirement.
So we were grandfathered in for courses
Yes.
prior to 2017-2018 academic school
Yes.
year for utilization of those honors course codes. However, best practice is to get those frameworks for courses prior to course numbers. So we were using an honors course that didn't have a framework that was in Power School prior to 2017-2018 academic school year. Yes, you can keep using that number, but best practice, let's get.
Let's put that framework in.
Let's document what you're doing, so we can have unification of practice within your system. That is the state's, the same best practice.
I still have a question. Going back to credit recovery, with the EOC exam. Statement updated to match language from the State Department of Education. And this is under the grading assessment system. When a student takes a credit recovery course and they pass it, are they still limited to that 70% passage?
We have been using 70% for mastery, the answer to
For
that,
mastery.
yeah, yes, ma'am, yes,
When are we gonna relook at that? I mean, if
higher or lower,
higher, if a kid makes a 90,
High.
they should get a 90. But
no,
instead.
they still get, no,
They get.
yeah,
They
they
get
get,
what?
they get a paper
They get a
pass
paper
because of
pass.
recovery, not initial
Mhm.
credit, so at a minimum, I understand what you're saying, why don't we bring it together? But 70 denotes mastery, so you're gonna pass.
And that also aligns with the fact that in the state regulation 43-262, it requires that students take the end of course examination one time. So we made sure that we got that language in, even if the student has to recover credit on another portion of the course, they still only take that EOC.
So we did biology. I sat for the EOC. I may not have had everything, maybe for, let's just say for, is it a FA for attendance that I failed?
Nothing.
Okay. So I may go sit back in biology for seat time, but you're not putting me back in
But
the
you put that
EOC.
in,
No,
okay.
ma'am.
All right.
You can't play the game as well to sit for that EOC to increase your grade either.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of that, right? The school is not allowed.
Okay, that's what
If
state's
it's
trying to
increased, you cannot play that game.
Can't play that.
You know, yes.
So our next revision is 11, and we just made the abbreviation of end of course exam, changing it again. We also did an addition of approved, we added that word for post-secondary institutions, and that was because we don't want students going to non-approved institutions. We want to make sure that our students are going to institutions that have been approved, not only by Dr. Stratus in the department, by the board. We removed PSAT and AccuPlacer requirements. And just the removal of that previous Technical College of the Low Country and Career and Technology Education certificate for dual enrollment program requirements. Because we added, the next thing is we added an updated set that we worked on with TCL and with the university.
Would you mind, on the AccuPlacer, giving us a little short brief statement of what AccuPlacer is, for those of us who may not know?
So the AccuPlacer was utilized for a placement to say your proficiency. Let me just use a score of 221 for English or 168 for math. for placement into dual enrollment college courses. Were one of the few school districts requiring the AccuPlace. And sitting at the table with TCL and USCB, they have put a strong recommendation to look at a multi-metric. So teacher recommendation, principal recommendation, GPA, and are reviewing the courses that the student has taken in order to go forward, because I may be stronger at coursework, but maybe not so well on the AccuPlace.
Yes.
So there was a disconnect of giving opportunities for students to go forward. We sat with a committee of membership. And the recommendation from the committee was to not utilize the AccuPlace anymore as a requirement.
Maybe one of the few holdouts on that.
Yes.
Any questions? Any questions?
If I may add, and something that I just observed, because I did review, I just observed this. The Roman numerals are off from page 8 to 9.
Just
So should recommendation of committee to go forward, this would, the numeration will be correct.
It was corrected. All right. I think that was in translation.
Yes.
Apologize
And
for
we took
that.
it from PD
Yes.
back to
Took it
Word.
from PDF to Word. Also, we added the additional term there for Maymester courses, opening that opportunity up as well. We had the University of South Carolina listed. We have added Beaufort to that statement, so now it says University of South Carolina, Beaufort. In section 16, there were a couple additions there. Our virtual manual is called the Virtual Procedures Manual, so just for clarity, we added that term as well. We added the credit recovery statement. Can't say that right now. And that just allows those students, to do pre-testing for credit recovery, so we can customize what it is they need to recover and not make them recover things they already know. We also did a removal of BCSD student credit recovery options there. In section 18, we did the academic requirement change from a 1.0 to a 2.0. And we added the term SDE for State Department of Education. So a lot of it was additions of words and terminology there for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any questions from Mr. Nay or Mr. Dallas?
Yeah, are we going to provide motions for the school board, the full board to move on these, or do we, what's the actions required?
There's no action. There's no action on these items.
To
These
two,
are ours, Mr. Nay.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Is it my turn?
Yes, sir.
So under the AccuPlacer, does a moderate score preclude a student from being involved in the program? Or is that AccuPlacer score used to identify areas of, I won't say weakness, but less than, premier strength? And so then it directs resources to help improve that youngster. Which role does it play? Because I'm just wondering if it plays the latter, there may have been benefit to retaining it.
If you look at the line, my preference would be the PSAT versus an AccuPlacer, and let me give you my why of that, sir. If you
Okay.
utilize a PSAT at 8th grade, following through with after 10th grade and 11th grade, it actually allows that students who have a portfolio from College Board to build my proficiency in the areas of numeracy and literacy. It also lends for the opportunity to be a qualifier for National Merit Scholar. That is a culture that I think we need to be focusing as a system. In some areas I'm competitive, and one of the areas I am competitive is are the talents of our students. I don't feel that it's proper that surrounding, and no disrespect to anyone from Charleston, but they should not have National Merit Scholars in the 50s, and we have National Merit Scholars as 21 or 18. So that is something that I'm looking to build that capacity. in a lens of portfolio for learning to help our students get better. What the acupuncture just gives me, I want to say, it's a dead score. It doesn't give me feedback, additional support for learning.
Okay, that sounds very, very prudent, and I appreciate the focus on improving the capabilities of our students. Thank you.
Yes,
So ladies, is there anything else?
now, this would complete our information for sharing with the exception of just correcting the numerator as we go forward to the board.
I apologize for that.
Yeah. Thank you, board members.
Mr. Smith?
Mrs. Smith?
I have a question. In terms to taking those tests, will those tests decide whether our kids are able to go in programs or not?
Okay, so, and I do apologize, Mr. Smith, if the question was if these tests be utilized as a gateway score to enter programs, the answer to that is no. We are trying to provide opportunities, not putting a few more hurdles that Mary has to jump. I may have a bad day today, but overall my GPA is very strong, like 3.75 or 4.2. So the PSAT is a recommendation just more so for your resume as a student for college and readiness to go forward. Because although there is conversation of the SAT and ACT not having as much weighting for colleges, I don't see that being a shift of practice very soon in life. So one of our commitments is to get our students ready. So that PSAT, that pre-SAT is a great tool, but we will not use it as a tool to say, no, you may not do it.
Okay, and I'm just asking that because I know that in some programs that had certain my schools and particularly Beaufort High School, that they were testing students to get into certain programs or certain pods. And
Yes, sir.
that to me, I'm not sure if that's about that, but that's real troublesome, and that something has to be done about that because it doesn't look well and it doesn't sit well in terms to us serving every kid and giving them a fair shot or opportunity.
So that is a shift in culture. I will share with you that as the school administration was trying to shift the practice, there was support from my division regarding that. We are looking at putting into the AR that utilization of a placement for accelerated coursework actually negates opportunity of who we should be as a system. So we are working on that. So I greatly appreciate you bringing that forward. There was momentum on that. Hoping to be able to have that momentum come back to the table, sir.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate y'all for being on that. And I'm just hoping that also from here on out that we will have some type of formula or some type of way that we can evaluate that from the district level so that we can be aware that when that's taking place that we have a function in place here if we don't already have that. But I just wanted to put that out there. But thank you for your work.
And board members,
Yes.
if I may take Mr. Smith's recommendation, I would be very happy to put that into the administrative regulation 31.
Absolutely.
I am, because that is an open opportunity for children.
Yes.
Because we were working specifically with a school, but if it is the pleasure of the board, and I know we just make you aware, but we are having dialogue.
Yes.
And I try to have dialogue to improve our practice. It's a strong consideration prior to going to the board. Okay.
Thank you for that question, Mrs. Smith. Thank you very much. Anything else, Mrs. Smith? I see Mr. Dallas.
If it gives access, it doesn't.
Oh, no, that's all I have out there. Thank y'all for giving me time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to be clear because it limits access,
Yes.
not limitation.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll make that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Dallas?
The school.
Yes, ma'am. If the presenters have completed, I have a question that's different from what has been covered so far. I'd like to raise it now is the appropriate time.
Yes, thank you for finishing your presentation.
Yes.
Are you open for questions from Mr. Dallas?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Boy, that was a delay.
You saw that.
So this is really just encouragement for what ISD does, what the school district does in terms of reaching out and helping cross section of our society improve the academic performance. I think that is tremendously notable and noteworthy. And as myself as a rookie, learning about the educational system, learning about brain development, learning about the mechanics of basically building confidence. And then I juxtapose that versus what's happening in society in terms of family structures, time that parents can spend with their kids, which has really been shrinking over 2 or 3 generations and has an impact on academic performance. I would like to ask the academic committee and the ISD to consider a very thorough, deep study, data-driven, that would sort of help us determine should the Beaufort County School District expand its reach into the earlier stages of life. Because I'm reading a lot of information that says learning in the brain is developed by 5. And to me, there may be an opportunity to get more kids into the BCSD curriculum earlier, which improves their chances and probabilities of success. So one of the things I've done, and I didn't know this when I first joined the board, is I didn't know the difference between an ECC and a children's center as we have here in Hilton Head. And I'm wondering if there could be a study that says Beaufort County School District will be the premier school district in the whole nation in extending our delivery into the family at earlier ages. So maybe a network of ECCs that prepare kids at a much younger age so that when get to kindergarten or pre-K, they are not as much of they're not at much of a deficit. Because what I'm also seeing is it's very expensive to try to catch them up through the later years when some of their personal habits or paradigms have developed. So that was something I wish could be taken on and considered for is that something that could happen? Because if you look at what we're proposing, it would be kids in Beaufort County School District could actually start going or attending a BCSD facility at maybe 2 or 3. So that we are really bringing them into the fold and helping support the family. So that's it, just a consideration and a thought.
May I?
Yes.
So, Mr. Dallas, so there's three just general points. One, absolutely, I have to have time associated with that because I would also like to have key individuals in the community come and be part of a presentation because what we're asking is to research tied to a business plan because you're going to want a cost analysis, sir. And that has to be timely enough to be presented prior to budget for the upcoming school year. So I would ask for like a November presentation that we could align with a workshop. And I'd like to have some members from the community who are experts in child development beyond our specialist, Ashley Hutchinson, be part of that. So that would please the board. We can work on that. And if you create your agendas for work sessions, it would be something, and it is something very much needed. To build on that, we want to also recognize that there's a cost tied to this. So when we start doing that analysis, it doesn't grow on trees and the things called leaves that are green. So we have to be very, very serious at what we look at when you start looking what else to fund. So that would be, we could present, but that's another part of the conversation that has to come to the table. But I don't want us not to recognize if we also started utilizing programs that you've already, and actually Ms. Sinea brought up, like AVID, which their curriculum is actually based on almost neuroscience practice of plasticity or executive functions, the functions in the brain that say, Mary may not be a child anymore, but if we do this type of teaching and development, I could rewire my neuroscience to help me be a better learner. So I want us also as a system to think of this as well. And I just have to say, because I feel we need to take care of all children. And then that's all I'm saying. I do, but we will take on the challenge.
So I have a question. So would the November work session give you sufficient time to do the first part of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Present, and then we need to come back and do, once you present this part, then we need to come back in another work session and talk about the financial piece?
I would try to put it all together.
Together.
It should not be a surprise to our chief financial officer. It would not be appropriate.
Okay.
So if it's something that the board wants, then you have to have, and I would please ask me at the conversation with the superintendent.
Yes.
Please.
Mr. Dallas, thank you for the question. I have a question for Dr. Stratus as well. You know the little pink house?
That little pink house,
Yeah,
yes,
little pink
ma'am.
house,
That
little
little
pink house.
that we let a middle school be part of the property.
And what were we thinking? I remember years ago when the district set out to do a program that was very successful, where we did birth, right? And we still do that birth to pre-K,
Yes,
and we track the moms and the children,
still do.
right? And we still do, would that also be, I'm thinking we're already doing this at some level. But I think a lot of times when we're coming in as new board members, we really don't know what is out there. There's, and as Mr. Carlton said before, there's so many wonderful things that this district is doing for children, but we are touching those newbies, those new babies. And we follow them all the way to pre-K, right?
Yes,
We still do that.
yes.
So do we have data on that? That
We
doesn't
do.
cost us
Yeah.
extra.
Well, we're required to do our own internal longitudinal look at students, so yes, and we do have smart sheets now, which is a program that is. Has been. Yeah, so we have taken a generational step as a system.
Yeah.
So we're able to have a dashboard that Ashley does maintain, so that could be part of the presentation, but I'm just trying to be a little, I just realized November may be too late for community confidence.
Okay.
You want to do August?
No, it's too soon.
Well, wait a minute, and we also have a bond.
That's where my brain's
Coming up,
going, so
and
I would like community I don't know, so.
that's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, so I think I would ask if you could strategize the presentation time with Dr. Rodriguez. When you have workshop in August, when would be your next workshop?
November, October/November, and then we don't do another one again until January.
Okay, so when in November would be pre-election day or post-election day, that's my question, you understand where I'm going? with
That one would be, actually, it would be in October, because the election was last year, and we did the work session in November, so this work session would be in October.
Then we will take the October workshop, should the board and the superintendent.
Mr. Dallas, did you hear what she said?
Yes, ma'am. And I would actually be very comfortable so that there's a singular focus on the referendum if you wanted to move it to a January work session. I think this is
January would be better.
Okay.
yeah. So that would give you, that would give the organization plenty of time and separate the two, because from what the first proposal is that we're thinking is that there would need to be a cost element. We may not be, if you were to say, let's go forward with that, we may not be able to fund it during this 4-year period, hopefully, of the next referendum, but we could start scaling up so that strategically 4 years from now, we could build this network of ECCs or children's centers and help the families and raise the performance, and also capture. Again, I'm just flabbergasted every time I learn about something new that the district is doing to help families. There's so much to compilation of all those resources. So I'm flexible as just a listener to what you folks are saying.
Thank you, Mr. Dallas.
Madam Chair, we'll share this with our team.
Okay, as we'll share it with Dr. What's this? Dr. Rodriguez for January-ish
Yes, ma'am.
conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
And Madam Chair, we're gonna put this on the, Robinson's gonna put it on our chart for future topics.
Okay.
And she's gonna designate it for January, so that'll already be on that. So when we do agenda setting at the end of the year or the following, we can do that.
Is that okay? If it's still wonderful.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, anyone, any questions? Any more future topics?
We appreciate it.
Williams, hands up.
Mrs. Smith?
Just to add to what Mr. Dallas has said, I believe that I think we talked about this a little bit in the finance committee in terms of I think of having finances and the academics come together on this, but also I believe that's the meeting where Colonel Guy was saying too that we had agreed, but also there are a bunch of different components out there of people who are doing some of the same things. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to create some of the same things that the other people are doing, because you have organizations like Head Start who are also doing things that are effective, and we would want to work together and work in a silo and not everyone working in different areas and not bringing it all together. So even in the course of that, we'd also want to involve our partners in the community who are doing those things, and who kids already come to our schools, and because ultimately their numbers are our numbers. So we own their kids' numbers at some point in time. So I think it would be great for us if everyone to work together on that. And I'm not sure how that's going right now, but I know in the past we were trying to work on to repair some relationships, and so I just think that needs to be mentioned too, and thinking of actually getting this all together. I think we can work good together and get the accomplish something that everyone wants to accomplish.
So, thank you, Ms. Gordon. So, Mr. Smith, absolutely, because the collaboration also has a cost effect point. So we have to recognize that we can't do this alone. So 100% yes, sir.
Right.
Thank you,
And
Mr. Smith.
that was my point. Just also that some people are doing something, and we want to be great neighbors and work together as well. That's my point. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Really appreciate your input there. Any more questions? I see Miss Wendy's hand is up.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask you all if we could please, at the next academic committee meeting, present some administrative regulations to the committee and those involve a number of student services, administrative regs that come to academic committee, and I can give the complete list to Robin. They are SS 46, assisting students with medications, SS 47, individual healthcare plans, individual treatment plans, SS 48, first aid and emergency care, SS 43, communicable infectious diseases. And those are all revisions to administrative regulations. And then there will be a new administrative regulation, SS 61, and that has to do with a new law that's passed about Narcan or naloxone administration in school setting. So we wanted to present those next month before school starts, please. Thank you. Thank you.
26.
So the next question. Excuse me.
The rest of the year.
Oh, look.
You said 26.
So the next scheduled meeting would be July 26th.
Oh, but maybe not available for it. No, serious.
But
And I'm not available the 19th.
July's a kind of.
It's a bad month.
I was get to line together.
There you go, there you go.
Say it.
It's like get your life together.
Oh, yes, ma'am, birthday girl.
Would you all want to move it? Wendy said you want these before school starts.
Yeah.
So can we do it?
At the beginning of August is okay.
August 2nd, we have a book review.
How about August 9th?
That would work.
Oh, Summer Institute that week, so never mind.
I mean,
When the kids come back to school?
the
The
students come,
21st.
yeah, they come the 21st, but we could meet on the 9th. Still do it. We'll just
Okay.
leave substitute.
Yeah, we'll still meet on the night, just be out there. All right?
It is at May River. We can.
Yes.
I'll be in the car.
Mr. Nay, are you available on the 9th of August
Yes, ma'am, send it.
at 5 o'clock? Or
Okay.
what time do?
Can we do that earlier?
Oh, how about you?
You can't do that.
Not 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
So
Thank you.
5 o'clock on the 9th would be academics.
Because we want to.
And we're doing it at May River, correct?
Yeah, because we'll already be out there.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank
consideration.
you. All right, any more future topics?
So we were gonna present updates from ISD that evening, but for in July, so we will do it then to committees, so that would be our time, but and we may have additional ARs because we are pushing very hard to get our ARs updated. Thank you, June.
All right, if there are any more questions? Adjourn. Can we adjourn by
So moved. Unanimous consent.
unanimous consent? Yes, so moved. Hey, thank you, Nate, thank you, Mr. Dallas, thank you, Ms. Wendy, Mr. Smith.
Happy
Mr. Campbell, okay, Mr. Campbell, hey, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Happy 4th.